Hello, everyone. It's Friday. It's Chat with Matt. We're glad to have you with us, especially to our usuals that are always with us. Thanks for listening to us. And for those of you that are brand new to this, welcome, welcome, welcome. I'm so happy it's Friday. It's been it's been a week. It's been something else. How's it going today?
Going pretty good. Yes, it has. It has been something else. So I think they're saying that this has been the largest breach
Yep.
ever.
Yep.
So now, here's the thing. First of all, let me say this. So we were not impacted. We just shut everything down. Our intrusion prevention system works fine. It alerted us. We shut everything down. Our processes work fine. We pulled a, so to speak, plug. Everything shut down. No harm, no foul. Nothing bad happened. Our customers are safe. We are safe. We are still functioning. We are still able to provide remote support. We have been still closing tickets, taking care of tickets as they come in. The thing is, if you work under the assume breach principle, you should not have any issues because you assume breach. Now, the second part of that is it doesn't matter what platform you're on, whether it's SolarWinds Continuum or Kaseya, sooner or later, there is going to be something, there is going to be a breach, there's going to be an exploit or something that the bad guys are going to take advantage of. There is going to be a breach. What's going to help and protect you is how good is your process and your incident response to that breach. That's where the key is. So, I mean, Microsoft's Exchange Server had 0 days exploit in it. Microsoft, such a large, huge company, if they cannot prevent exploits, then there is no chance for you or me. There's no chance for anybody else. Now, the thing is, let me also say this. Some of the news channels are saying this was a supply chain attack. Folks, it wasn't. I think that's just fear mongering. In this case, it was an exploit that the bad guys used. It was just a 0 day exploit, like tons of exploits that have been found, just this year alone. But it was just a 0 day exploit that the Revel Group was able to take advantage of and take over some of the systems. The forensics is not complete yet, so we don't know the exact details why some on-prem servers got compromised while others did not. So Kaseya creates this program, so that's good. The Kaseya, their cloud offering, the SaaS offering, did not get impacted. Our Kaseya deployment did not get impacted. There are a total of about 36,000. The number varies. Some say 35,000, some say 36,000, but it's a little over 35,000. So it depends on which way you round it up. But let's say there's around 36,000 Kaseya deployments around the world. Out of that, less than 50, I know the number 60 was thrown around, but it's less than 50 that have been compromised. That's less than 1% of the machines that have been compromised. So my thoughts are that the key was in how the on-prem server, Kaseya server, was deployed. What kind of protections was it behind that saved majority of the MSPs out there? Because Kaseya releases a code, they only have control on the code. They do not have control over how customers deploy their systems. They can only make recommendations, hey, don't put Kaseya server directly on the internet, which you shouldn't do for any server. I mean, think of the print nightmare that's going on. There are companies out there that are shutting down print services. I know of at least one confirmed that did shut down all print services. And they're told their customers, hey, we're not going to start print services. Email yourself what you want to print out and print it from your iPhones or iPad. What world are they living in? Anyway, so the thing is, if your servers are not protected, they're going to get breached. If you assume breach, then you will always keep your servers protected. If your servers do not have access from the public side, a breach is not going to happen over empty space or a vacuum. It needs some kind of medium. So even if your server is vulnerable, if you disconnect it from the network so there's no Wi-Fi or physical network access, that server is not going to get compromised. That's just like a server that's shut down. It's never going to get compromised. But that's not the answer, because a server that is not running is useless. So what we want to do is we want to make sure and use the assume breach principle. Always assume breach. Now, very important. Everybody, and I mean not just IT companies, everybody out there, you need to have an incident response procedure in place. You need to have it documented, because when things like this happen, let me put it this way. If we didn't have a response plan around Friday, around 11, 12, in that range, when we first got the red flags from our intrusion prevention system that, hey, something anomalous is happening, the intrusion prevention system said, hey, I'm blocking these IPs because I've never seen these IPs and they're trying to do some weird stuff that I don't know what they're trying to do. So I'm going to block them. Now, if we did not have a response plan written down, we would have been thinking, okay, well, this happened. What should I do now? Should I just leave things running? Which a lot of people who don't have a plan, they just leave it running. Let me talk to the manager or somebody, and then we'll figure out what to do. By that time, it's already too late. You have to have a written plan. So when you see this anomalous behavior, you pull the plug, and you pull that plug without having to think through it, because if you have to think about it, it's already too late. So have that plan written down, practice it, do a drill. It's like a fire drill. I mean, we've been through fire drills, right?
Yep.
Yeah, right. So make it a fire drill, go through that, make sure everybody knows the plan, everybody knows what their place in the plan is, what to do when something happens. I think really that is what saved a lot of customers and MSPs out there, because Kaseya had this written plan, and they knew what to do. They didn't sit around trying to think, okay, a couple of, like, I think 2 MSPs got impacted. They didn't sit there thinking, why are these 2? What's going on with these 2? Maybe these 2 had something going on with their servers. Maybe. No, they said 2 MSPs impacted, call everybody, shut everything down. That's what they did. All the reps got on the phones with their customers. They physically called every customer out there and said, hey, you have VSA on-prem, shut it down. We don't know what's happening, but shut it down. They already shut down the cloud offering that they have. So that's, I think, what contained it. Now, let me say this again. It was not a supply chain attack. This was just another zero-day exploit that the bad guys took advantage of. And that's all we know. Those are the facts right now. We don't know beyond that what happened. Now, when is our system going to come up? So we're still waiting on a patch. In the meantime, we've hardened it. We've followed the procedures that came down from Kaseya. They told us to do certain things. We've done it. They told us to run certain scripts to make sure machines are clean. We ran them. Our farm is, I say farm. So multiple servers are considered a server farm. So that's why I use the term farm. You may not have heard that, but in the IT world, a server farm is a bunch of servers, right? That run a certain infrastructure. So we ran the scripts against our farm. We hardened it. We are ready. We installed. So Kaseya also signed all of their customers, all of the MSPs who had Kaseya services, with FireEye. If you haven't heard of FireEye, it's only one of the probably the most well-known entities out there that work with exploits and vulnerabilities and things like that. So every MSP out there that is using Kaseya gets a free subscription to FireEye, which runs on their Kaseya infrastructure. So we've already deployed that. We are not going to bring the Kaseya infrastructure up until we install the fix for this zero-day exploit and we confirm the fix is in place. Once we do that, we will bring, we will do a couple of extra things. So one of the things that we want to do once we install the patches, we are going to clear any pending scripts on the server. So basically, the Kaseya server, we don't realize it, but it does like almost like 1,200 automate. It runs about 1,200 automations per server segment. So all these 1,200, almost in like a week's time, it'll have like 1,200 automations that it would have run against servers. So these automations are now pending, right? Because the Kaseya infrastructure has been shut down. So when we turn it back up, we don't want all 1,200 and anything that's pending to start running on all the customer servers, and then the servers are gonna, take up so much resources. We don't want to do that. So what we want to do is, after we install the fix, we're going to clear these pending automations so that the server is not just pushing these automations to everything, because it's thinking, hey, I haven't been able to talk to so and so machines, let me push all the automations that all this work that I was supposed to do, like from early this week, let me just run it now. We don't want to do that. So that's where we are. The latest news from Kaseya is that Sunday they will release the fix. So Sunday we will apply the fix, we will clear the automations, and then bring everything online. And there's already the FireEye agent is already in the infrastructure, so it's going to keep an eye out for anything anomalous. This is on top of our intrusion prevention system, on top of our firewalls, on top of our routers, on top of the geosensors around the Azure infrastructure that are in place. So there's a lot of security layers. And if you know me, I love layers. So there's a lot of security layers around that. And we've added a few extra layers now around Kaseya. But it was not a targeted supply chain attack. It was just a zero-day exploit.
So, and I'm interested to hear your thoughts on this, because a lot now this, I mean, we've talked about it. We knew that breaches. I mean, hell, just what was that last week? I think you were saying, we haven't even reached the peak as far as we haven't reached the peak as far as far as attacks are concerned. But this Kaseya ransomware attack had a lot of security experts like really worried. Like, they were worried before, but this now they're like, oh, this is according to what I've been reading, they said the level of planning, the sophistication, they feel like it was government backed. They didn't think it was just a bunch of guys that got lucky. They felt like this was something that was planned and executed.
Well, here's a little perspective into this. So not a lot of people out there know what is Kaseya, right? So you have to know Kaseya. You have to know what kind of application they use to build their software, their different modules, and then find a vulnerability in one of those modules, and then know of an exploit, how to exploit that vulnerability, and do all this without raising any red flags while you're doing all this research. There's a lot of work that goes in. So if only the bad guys had put all that work into creating something useful, maybe they would have made more money. I don't know. But the thing is, now here's the other side of the coin, so to speak. Another thing that's happening now is, on the coattails of this big exploit that was taken advantage of, are the smaller fish that are riding on the coattails of this.
Yep.
Right. So people are getting emails that claim to be from Kaseya. Hey, click this link and download our tool to make sure you're safe. Don't click them. These links are weaponized. People are even getting phone calls. Hey, go. I'm so and so from Kaseya. We want to make sure your machine is safe. Go to this website I'm going to give you and download this tool to scan your machine. Don't do it. So these are just the smaller fish now that are trying to take advantage of this, and they're just trying to trick people into downloading additional malware, ransomware, whatever have you, to demand more money. And so if you get an email or a phone call from somebody claiming to be Kaseya or claiming to be a Kaseya partner or PCSN partner, that, hey, I just want to make sure your machine is clean, don't believe them. Don't go to that website. Don't click anywhere. It's false. It's just don't do it, because now we are seeing more and more attacks like that that are just riding on the coattails of this attack. And this is how it works. They're just trying to pick the low-hanging fruit. But yeah, it's been a busy week. It's and I just got to say, kudos to the Kaseya team, to the security team.
They're really trying to,
Mandant, FireEye. There's just a lot of different entities involved in this, not to mention FBI and CISA and all of these agencies. I'm not a big fan of the FBI, just because when I needed them, they were not there. But at this scale, the scale that this attack impacted, the number of people it impacted, FBI got involved pretty quick. And I think even somebody was saying that it is big news when the president getting on the plane, getting on Air Force One, mentions the name Kaseya, and not in a good way.
No.
So, but the thing is that these attacks are independent of the platform or the company. It could be Kaseya, it could be SolarWinds, it could be Continuum, it could be anything that's out there. Nothing is sacred anymore, right?
Yeah.
So keep that in mind. Assume breach. Have your incident response procedures written down. Practice it. Modify it where it's needed. Make changes to it. Make sure that those procedures are alive. They're not just dead, sitting in a drawer somewhere. Make them alive.
Yeah.
And you will be so much safer. I mean, that when I was actually in our CIO meeting, VCIO meeting, that day, and I forget the day it was. I think it was Monday, wasn't it? Or
no,
was it Friday?
It was like Friday, Thursday or Friday.
Yeah, Friday. So, and I was in that meeting, and I remember because today it was another meeting with the same people in there, and it just came up today as well. It was like, hey, Nadeem, weren't you talking about something weird was happening? And here we are today. So we were just talking about something weird happening, that we're seeing these anomalies, and somebody says, what is it, or what are you going to do? And I was like, oh, it's simple for me. We have a process. We pull the plug, and we pull the plug, and I'm glad we did. Yep. But the thing is that you have to have these procedures in place. You have to have them written down, just like you have a disaster plan. And I hope you do. So just like you have a disaster plan, have an incident response plan. So when there is a security breach, you didn't mishear me. When there is a security breach, you put this in place. There is going to be a security breach.
And Nadeem has always said that.
There's not going to be a breach. There is going to be a breach. Plan for it. That's all we can do. If you don't have cyber insurance, get some. If you're riding on your general liability umbrella insurance policy, get cyber insurance.
Yeah.
I mean, these are things. It's just the more automation we put into place, the more IT we bring into systems, the more breaches we are going to see. It's almost like when somebody invented the first door, or when somebody invented the first lock picker was born. I mean, if there was no lock, there wouldn't be any lock pickers, right? Exactly. So that's the thing. It's like you can't. You have to assume this is going to happen. Now, what makes it more interesting in this world is that a lock picker, when he's picking a lock, you can see him physically picking a lock. Well, nowadays you don't see somebody physically picking the lock because it's all done in a computer and
Yeah.
it's virtual. So it's almost like, think of it like the difference between a spreadsheet and a database. Spreadsheet is flat, you see it in front of you, all the data is right there. A database is multi-level. It's got multiple dimensions. You don't even know. I mean, it's hard to get your head around how many dimensions that database has, how the data is laid out. So it's almost like out of sight, out of mind kind of deal. And that's what makes it harder. But if you work on the assume breach principle, you'll be so far ahead of everybody else. And you won't have to worry about things like this because you'll know your users will know what to do when something happens. So even when you're not there, somebody, whoever's there, will know what to do when something like this happens.
Like Nadeem always used to say, it's not a matter of if it's going to happen, it's when it's going to happen.
It is going to happen. It is going to happen.
Yeah.
I mean, if it can happen to a company like Kaseya, who has so many more resources, if it can happen to a company like Microsoft, who has so many resources, yeah, it's going to happen. Now, when I say this, don't take it the wrong way and think, oh, we are so small, nobody's going to attack us. Nobody targets in this world anymore unless, like it's a pipeline and they specifically go after that pipeline. It's a zero-day exploit, like Print Nightmare. If you're not protected against Print Nightmare and you have your servers directly on the internet with no protection in the middle, it's going to get exploited. Somebody's going to get into your server. It doesn't matter how big or small you are. It's going to happen.
Yep.
So I just want to reiterate, we're hoping by Sunday we'll get the fix. We'll install the fix. We'll clear the automations. We'll bring Kaseya online. Everything will be back to normal for us. We'll have some additional layers of security, which is always good. The more, the better. And I think that's it. That's where we'll go. And don't open any links in emails that claim to be from us or from Kaseya or from somebody who wants to give you a free tool to scan your machine. There's nothing for free in the world out there, folks. So don't fall for that. Usually the people who appear to be very good people who are helping you out of the goodness of their heart, and they're going to fix your computer and fix all the ailments you have. And it doesn't work like that.
Unless it's PCSN, we're legit. We try to help. Some of these other guys.
But here's the problem. So even if you get an email that claims to be from PCSN, if it's got a link in there, don't click it because it's probably not. Yeah. So that's the heads up is even if it claims to be from PCSN, don't believe it. It's probably not. Because we don't send out emails with links in it and tell people, hey, click this link and do this or do that. If we're gonna, say something, people are gonna talk to, me. It's gonna be like, if I'm talking to somebody, I'm gonna say, hey, this is Nadeem, and they would know my number. They would know how to call me. They would know if I'm on the phone, they can send me an email and say, hey, is that really you? Yes, it's really me. I can respond back. And one of the things is always verify with a different medium. So if an email came in, verify via phone call. If a phone call came in, verify via email or fax. Always use a different medium to verify somebody's identity. Because in this world, it's getting harder and harder to identify the identity of a person. Yeah. And that's the problem. But anyway, I think with that, we'll call it a day. It's Friday. It's 4:43. We're almost towards the end of the day. So I think we'll call it. And Mac, you've had a busy week. Hopefully the weekend is better for you and you recover and everything. And so everybody, will see you next week, and hopefully we'll see you, and Kaseya will be fully online and everything will be good.
Let's hope so. You guys have a good one.